Realizing it wouldn't do a lot of good, I begged Dad to let me come along to Agape Gifts and Books, but he told me I had to go to school instead. At recess, though, Cammy filled me in. Mrs. Logan called our house just after she called Mrs. Wentworth. Was your dad pretty excited? She nodded, shuddering. Dad can't stand kids who cause trouble, so they think it was the cruisers. Dad believes it was. So someone had put up a banner across the front of Agape, a computer banner, something like the one done on the Mac in our classroom. What did it say? She giggled nervously. Dad wouldn't tell me. Poor Mrs. Logan. I know. They probably picked her store because it sells Christian books and things. But why was she there so early? I asked. She has this breakfast Bible study group that meets at 7 o'clock. She was there early to open up and start fixing hot drinks. Poor Mrs. Logan, I said again. Poor everybody. Dad says something like this makes it harder for everybody. He even called the sheriff about it. Boy, Dina Wentworth's not going to be happy about the law showing up all the time, I said. Did you hear about the cruisers last night? Cammy nodded. Actually, the sheriff didn't come out this morning because when Dad called them, they said they'd heard about the cruisers last night. And he said the banner was probably just teen revenge. He thinks there might be some connection with the restroom signs. Maybe there is, I said. So the sheriff didn't come out at all? No, and Dad's mad about that too. Later, I ate lunch quickly, then slipped into an empty classroom, opened my sketchbook, and began a journal of what I knew about the restroom signs and the Agape banner. As always, Guy was waiting for us when we got off the school van. He'd heard about the banner from his mom. Let's skip the gazebo performances, I said, and go over to Agape. As we walked, Guy suddenly said, those restroom signs, Monday, do you think they had anything to do with the banner? Why would they have anything to do with it? Cammy asked. The cruising happened last night. But maybe it wasn't the teens who put up the banner, he said. Suddenly I remembered what Sheila had said about Guy being the sign switching culprit. But I dismissed the thought immediately from my mind. Agape Gifts and Books was a small store, with two large windows on either side of a glass door. No sign of the banner, I said. Of course not, Guy replied. The first thing she'd do would be to tear it down. Let's go ask her about it. Shirley Logan is a large, comfortable blonde. Normally her voice is soft and gentle and she smiles a lot. Mom knows her pretty well and told me that she was a recent converted Christian. I guess she'd had bad emotional problems or something before she accepted Christ, but now she seems really happy. Today, though, you could tell she was under stress. You kids run along, she said gloomily. You shouldn't have to be exposed to things like this. We're really sorry, said Cammy. It must have given you quite a shock. She nodded, and for an instant her lips trembled. What made me so frightened was that it was really early, like 6:30, and nobody else was around. It was just me and that horrible long strip of paper draped across the front of my store. How long was it? I asked. Oh, I don't know, 10 or 15 feet. She shuddered. It looked like it had been made on a computer. And then somebody used a terrible marker on the letters to make them easier to read. It was terrible. What did you do with it? Guy asked. The sign? Well, for a while I just couldn't do anything. I stood there looking at it. I was so scared. Her shop door opened and a customer wandered in. And then she said to us in a lower voice, "Who should drive up but the carload of ladies who come to my Bible class?" They saw the banner. Oh, it was awful. She turned to the customer. "May I help you find something?" she called out brightly. "No, just looking. If you have any questions, just ask." "Thanks." "Where's the banner now?" I asked her. She frowned and lowered her voice again. "I tore it down," she said softly, "and I wadded it up and took it over to the big trash bin behind Mother Brown's. It was filthy." The customer was approaching with a little angel figurine, so we wandered out of the store. "I'm going to have a look at the banner," I said. "Don't," said Cammy. "Yeah, don't," mimicked Guy. "It's not the kind of thing a Christian should get his hands dirty with. I'll take care of it. And if you want to know what it said, I'll spell out the words for you." I turned to face him. "Listen, Guy." He glanced mockingly at me. "I'm listening. I'm getting pretty sick of how you twit us about Christianity." "What are you going to do about it? Persecute me?" He giggled. "I thought you Christians were supposed to turn the other cheek." "It gets kind of old after a while," said Cammy. "Yeah," I said. "We never try to stuff our faith down your throat. We're just trying to live up to what we believe. How come you've got such a chip on your shoulder all the time?" "I'll tell you why," he said. He pointed to Agape Books and Gifts. "That." "What do you mean, that?" "What happened there this morning. Here's a single mother trying to make an honest living by selling little gadgets and greeting cards and books. Christian cards and books, Christian gadgets. What's wrong with that?" I asked. "Nothing. But what does God do? He lets some stupid, foul-mouthed teenager make this banner and stick it on her store. Why doesn't he take care of his people anyway?" Suddenly, I realized that Guy was on the verge of tears. "Your dad?" I said softly. "You leave my—" he began and gulped. "You leave my dad out of this. You leave my dad out of this." "Guy, I'm sorry." "Forget my dad, okay?" "Okay, okay. Because your God forgot my dad, okay?" Cammy turned away. I saw her blink quickly 3 times. "I'm going home," Guy said in a shaky voice. "Guy." He turned and stalked away. "Wow," I said to Cammy. "I really blew it there." She nodded. "But his dad's death is probably why he feels the way he does." I took a breath and let it escape slowly from between my lips. "I'll apologize to him when he cools off a bit." She nodded again. "But right now I'm going to have to look at that banner. Want to come?" "Sure." Together we walked past her dad's antique shop to the brown trash container behind Mother Brown's. I found a box, stood on it, and lifted the lid and looked inside. "Help me look," I said. She said she wadded it up, but I can't see it not right now. She brought over a mop bucket, turned it upside down, stood on it, and peered over the edge. Luckily, this wasn't Mother Brown's food disposal trash receptacle, so we didn't have to plow through a lot of old tomatoes and things like that. But though we carefully unwadded every piece of paper, there was only one conclusion we could come to. "The banner's not here," Cammy said. "Somebody's taken it."